But not least, we're going to introduce our presenter for today. So please welcome Don Nelson, down from Charlotte, of SeeSnapGet.
Thank you, Casey, and thank you, Sergio, and for all of you guys for coming out this morning to hear a little bit about SeeSnapGet and how, you know, we're laser focused on that intersection between travel and shopping. And if you put them in a Venn diagram in the middle of that, like that's what we're looking to solve pain points for both local merchants on Main Street, like right down the street here, and at Vista and 5 Points in other places. You know, given that, let me, is this? So I'd like very much also to thank, like I said, Casey and Sergio, and also 1 Million Cups. So I've presented before at the Charlotte 1 Million Cups, and have had the opportunity to actually visit with the Kaufman Foundation outside of Kansas City, and they're just great folks looking to help small businesses get rooted, get up and started, and they're great partners. So really quickly about me, and the only reason I put this picture up here is I saw on the Facebook post yesterday, it was just me. And I wanted everybody to see kind of the background of that, which is right at a Main Street merchant, which is live with our program. So quickly on my background, we've got a great team and a great advisory board. But my background is really from Main Street. I worked with very small local businesses and helping them from high school all the way to big boxes, like you see those little logos on the left, and then ended kind of that career, that corporate career with a company where I had an opportunity to travel globally, and I found so many times I'd see stuff and want to buy it, but the hassle, and I wouldn't, right? I'd pass on it. And that happens in Main Streets, that happens all around the world, like every day. And so using my e-commerce and digital marketing background as head of digital for a couple of the brands up there, we started SeeSnapGet. And like everybody says, the startup journey is a tough one. And I'm happy to kind of dig into that a little bit later. But what I realized was that, you know, I knew that this was a huge opportunity. Like it's massive, right? Like if you said, hey, I want to be able to SeeSnapGet anything, like that microphone right there, the logistics behind that is really tough. But on the other hand, I realized that, you know, it's the local merchants that, those Main Street merchants who independently owned, small retailers, who are kind of struggling a little bit with e-commerce and digital and all of that. And I thought, okay, well, how do we boil the ocean but down to 1 teacup or 1 coffee cup, since we're here at 1 Million Cups, right? And thought very much about solving the very core of it, which is, let me just take a picture, and then the magic will happen, and then it shows up at my house. And that's what, when we started with the app, that was very much the problem we were looking to solve, because I knew that if we could solve that from end to end, the rest of it would grow. And so our app went live about a year ago, right almost exactly a year ago. We've had some pretty good traction, good downloads, good usage, but we also realized, and I did this intentionally, right? We only created an iPhone app. And some people were like, well, I have Android, so. Well, but from our point of view, it was to make sure that we could keep a core group of customers, make sure that we were exceeding expectations, and that we could do that before expanding into new kind of channels. So the app works very simply. I mean, once you download the app, you can take a picture of something. You give us permission for your location, and basically you take a picture, you give us your ship to zip code, and that's it. And we do the rest of the work. And we do that by connecting with those Main Street and those local merchants to take care of our customers. So, you know, travelers today, you know, they're tech savvy, they're on their mobile devices, and there's a paradox between them and then what the merchants are able to do. And so on the traveler side, you know, it's definitely mobile, convenience, and the trend is more towards local experience. So even though you might go to Disney, you still want to go to local shopping and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's that friction that I don't want to schlep it home. It's too big. I don't trust baggage. I don't want to pay the extra fees. It's all those points of friction that people don't buy, and that's what we're specifically addressing. And it's certainly a huge market, and I think because we're focused on being the best places to shop solution for travelers, it's going to expand, including things like duty free and at airports, which is a huge market too. And you can see, our target customer, she shops small business. It's important to him or her, and they require convenience. And so the best part of it is the merchants that I get to talk to every day. And these are the folks, these are some of you maybe. Is anybody in here a local merchant, someone who's got a storefront? Do you? You are the only one, which, it's fascinating. So I've had the opportunity, thank you, I've had the opportunity to talk to literally 100. I just hit the 100 mark last week in about a little more than a year. Very focused. I went, from Greenville and Charleston to Asheville, out to the coast, RDU, and then also California and some other spots. And I talk to merchants, sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for an hour and a half, and it turns into a great conversation. And I ask them, what's the most painful piece of your business? There's a lot of them. So, and you probably know that, right? There's a lot of pain, but what it came down to is these top 3 challenges. And I thought, okay, well, SeeSnapGet, it's cool, it's novel, but how do we take this company into solving and helping them grow their business and solve some of their challenges? And not only because people think, oh, let's just Groupon thought, well, let's just go out and get them to do offers, and it's all digital, right? But you have to realize that the Main Street merchant, their biggest investment is in the real estate in the box that they're in, right? It's at that store. They're paying rent, they have payroll. That's where they need to see the ROI, and that's what we're focused on trying to figure out how to help them with that. And that's the front end of getting items up online, and it's also the back end. We've got a lot of merchants who, as we're starting to pilot, and just specifically in a couple neighborhoods in Charlotte, come Monday morning, they've got a whole bunch of stuff that they sold over the weekend to people who were traveling and say, I don't want to deal with it, right? I don't want to have to pack it and ship it and all of that. And so we're looking at that's the piece of our logistics business. But the merchants are great. So simply, right, you fall in love with something, you just take a picture, and through our app, you can actually buy it fully through the process. So you take a picture, we come back, it says, here's your quote request response. It's going to be, it's a $100 item, it's $3 in tax, or $6 in tax likely, $15 for shipping, here's your total, you can buy it safe and secure through our app. And what we realized, and I knew this from the beginning, but we have been expanding into new channels, right? So you can take a picture of something and just email us, and that starts a dialogue. Or DM us through social media, and that starts a dialogue. Where are you? And ultimately, our goal is, again, to be that resource for travelers to find the local cool places to shop. And by you all helping us, downloading, checking it out, and using it when you see really cool stuff, ultimately, we're building that network of the cool places to shop. So as compared to Yelp and Google, which the merchant has to pay for, and many merchants don't have the budget for that. So this is kind of like on-demand commerce. And so I know that we'd like to see a little bit about the business. And I can bring this back up when it comes time for Q&A, but this is basically, our goal is to reach merchants through a ground game, what I call a ground game and an air attack. The ground game is where we've got some of our teammates, we go out and we pick merchants that we want, that we think that travelers would love to see. So you wouldn't think of going to Charlotte, for example, for a vacation. Right? You might be going for business, financial services, you might be going for NASCAR, but there's a lot of great, cool towns and experiences, just like there are here in Columbia. So, our ground game is picking and meeting, and our air attack is really folks using the app, traveling. And we've got photos from Maine to New Mexico, from Northern California to Miami. So So of course traction is the biggest challenge, and anyone who has a startup knows that kind of getting that, you know, there's traction and then there's momentum, right? So we're right at that point of the tires want to grab on, and we're seeing some great signs. But you know, it's a tough. Anyone who has a small business knows it's tough, right? And so I want to just share a little bit today, thinking that what might be of value to you all is when I talk about traction, here's a couple of great books and resources on traction. So if you hear people talk about the business getting traction, these are a couple of great resources that our team uses and has utilized. And that I think in marketing, from a marketing perspective, in terms of kind of that owned, earned, and paid media. And so, you know, paid is ads, right? You hear ads on the radio, you see billboards, you see TV commercials, you see online banner ads, in-app ads, all of those things. That's incredibly expensive. So when you're a startup, for us, our focus is really on owned. What are the things that we control entirely? And that's our website, that's content, etc. I guess what I would share is that along the journey, we realized that in addition to that, just that simple service of executing that e-commerce transaction, be the resource for the shopping traveler. And we're also launching a podcast called Main Street Stories, where we interview local merchants and tell their story. It's actually fascinating. And so I just wanted to share a couple of quick pictures from South Carolina that have come in. This was Cook Station in Greenville. And you can see it's $350 Santa. This was a couple months ago, obviously. And then this was over in Charleston. And I got in late last night, so I wasn't able to hit any of the local stores here, but I just wanted to share a little bit locally. And, you know, thank you very much for listening. And how can you help? Check us out online, follow us on social, and when you go places you see cool things, we're building that directory, we're building that database. So when you see cool things at cool places, take a picture and we'll be sure to add them to our directory. And then, you know, as we get into the questions period, I'm interested to find out what are the top 15 stores and cool artists that are here in Columbia. So as folks are coming in to do business with the state or for all different reasons, there's some really cool shopping around here. And so with that, I want to thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Give him a hand.